it's just about play and then, having fun. And you need to understand that you belong. Like that you... I had no part of me that was like, do I deserve to be here? I'm like, yeah. So I don't know if, old versions of me would have felt that way, but that's where I was at,
Yes.
Creatively, I'm not here to prove anything. I'm just here to like absorb and have fun. Welcome back to the Flowprints podcast, a deeply intersectional space where we explore all things well-being through the lens of creatives and wellness practitioners. Our conversations consciously center marginalized voices as well as often gentrified practices. So from self-care to spirituality by way of mental health, I love tapping into the juicy intersection between someone's healing journey and their professional path. I hope our conversations leave you inspired, recharged. I hope you learn. I hope you laugh. And I hope that a part of you heals every time you join us. Well, hello.
Hi.
Hi.
I have to start by saying you're wearing all of my favorite Pantones.
Thank you.
I love that we're already aligned on this front.
But aren't we always?
Aren't we always? That is truly it. And with that in mind, I always like to I think right now I'm really focused on presence and trying to be present. And so I kind of just want to start by asking where you're at in this present moment or in this season.
In this season, wow. I feel it's so interesting because like the holidays just happened.
Yes.
Or I feel like they just happened even though it's been a month. So it was like a time of like grounding and just figuring out what my new normal was going to be like. Post-Canadian Film Center.
Yes.
And at the same time, because like I had so much to just catch up on in terms of the Flowprints, it's been like a lot. A lot of like moving parts at the same time, but also like it's exciting. It's just like it's both like calmer but also still very dynamic. And so it's like it depends on the day. I have days where it's like I managed to just move slower, and then others where it's like yeah.
The true flow of life.
Yeah. So
that's true Flowprints.
I feel like that's where I'm at. What about you?
Yeah, I think this is a very dynamic season. We've talked many times about kind of this new approach right now for me, which is very much like leaning into winter, not necessarily winter itself, but just into continuing through this period that I feel like people also associate with hibernation or kind of like being secluded, which I think has a lot of value, but I feel like I'm kind of in a maximalist era of winter. And so, some days I'm like, okay, we got to do the quiet, but there are also a lot of days where it's like,
for you too.
Yes. So I very much relate to that, but it's kind of nice to feel that there's like that kinetic energy and that momentum. And also energetically, I'm like, this is my real new year. That's in the spring. So I'm like, we're vibing, you know?
We're on the same wave. It's like you can acknowledge like just the beginning of, what is it, the Gregorian calendar? 2025 starting and all of that. But I think if you really follow the flow of like your body and just the weather, as you described, it's like, let's just keep going with that. You know, for me, usually it's like, it's very internal. Like it's just very introspective.
Right.
And that time starts around my birthday, which is in November. So like up until the spring, I'm like there's a first part that's more like reflecting on the previous year, and then it moves into like strategizing. This year, I think certain things might start like earlier than the spring because it's a dynamic thing. Yeah. I'm excited. It's the fun thing about like just ending a residency at like around the holidays that makes it like such a celebration, but at the same time, because things are, you know, like slowing down within the film and TV industry, you know that a lot of those seeds that you planted are going to be, sprouting and blooming like in the new year. And so for me, now is the time to reconnect. Like, it's just, I'm having those calls of like, hey, what are you up to? Yeah. Or, hey, you shared this sample, like, we want to talk. And so, yeah, that's part of why. The other part is just like we're doing now, like just filming. And so I'm going to have to be editing, and like, the team has grown also. Like, now it's 5 of us, and just, it's just crazy. Like, it took me a minute to even like sit down and be like, oh,
this is me.
Because it happened like so back to back that I was just like, wait, every week it feels like there's a new team member. But now we've had like that time of just, I guess, introducing people to each other and finding our groove.
That's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
How has kind of being in this leadership space with now a full team, like how has that changed any of your relationship to the work or to how you approach things?
I think for me what's changed is like delegating and just having a strategy to do that. Because there's a lot that, prior to even bringing people on, I think anyone that's in a leadership position, or at least like they're the creator of something, there's a lot that you can think of and be like, oh, I want to delegate that. I wish someone else was doing that. But then you need a system. Because if you're having those conversations with yourself, it's very different from like communicating that to someone.
Very different.
What's the timeline for that? What is, what do they understand? Right? And how long do they need to then implement whatever they now have on their plate, right? So it's been fun. It's been challenging also.
Right.
But I'm learning a lot. And I feel like I had practiced it. Like before the break, I had practiced that because it was 2 of us. Then Melissa, the other Melissa, MLP, who was, had more of an advisor type of role, right? So was not like involved in the day-to-day activities in the way that she is now. And then, we had Zainab, who was helping me with just the digital content. And so, the break happened, and now Zainab is back. Mel is back in a different capacity, a much bigger one, very 360, honestly. And then we have 2 new team members. We have a project manager who's Casey, who's behind the camera. And then we have a social media coordinator, and
that's super, super exciting. Just to finally have that support. And I feel like being a team of 1, even being a team of 2, like that delegation, the amount of self-trust you have to say, okay, I know how to communicate this, but then also, really allowing yourself to be in the flow of working with other people and have that relationalness to say, okay, I trust that you're also going to do this in the way that which may not always be the way that I'm used to, but that's a really beautiful thing to start to be able to build, to also give you the capacity to be like, I will be over here, I'm going to leave you to that.
Yeah.
That is really exciting. And I think kind of in line with what you're saying about planting these seeds and really looking forward, which also makes me want to look back a little bit because you mentioned the Canadian Film Center, you mentioned the CFC. I think let's just really go back to what you've been doing, what has been transpiring over this season, and how it's really positioned you to this point. So, first of all, we got the Norman Jewison film program.
Yeah.
And then we got you as part of an amazing cohort.
Yes.
So, yes, I think let's go back. Let's think first, what made you apply? Because to be candid, to go a little bit behind, I remember when we were talking a while back and you were like, I'm in a different space when I'm looking at residencies, where I'm looking at programs where I really want to make sure that they're aligned and I'm not just doing it to do it because I'm in a different space. But you did apply. So yeah, like talk me through your mindset at the time and how you're finally like, you know what? Yeah, let me do this.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
My mindset at the time was to apply for fun.
Yes.
I applied for fun. Which I'm saying freely because it's my podcast. But yeah, I was mindful to like not necessarily say that too much, like in terms of, because certain people put programs on a pedestal and rightfully so. Like this is one of the like top 2-3 programs in the country, in the just North American region. So it's a big deal. But for me, I kind of, just like you said, it was like, I need to keep practicing, to keep learning. I didn't feel like I needed to learn all the basics. You know what I mean? Like I had done the work. I had dedicated like a lot of time to just growing as an artist, as a director, as a screenwriter. And I just felt like that was such a launch pad for a lot of people's careers that it might be worth it. Another part of it was also like we went through a strike, which was technically in the U.S., but because the U.S. and Canada are so connected in terms of the industry.
They are connected in many ways.
We will not get into...
But that's for another show.
Yeah.
That is not this.
Yeah. Because it's great and then it's not so good. But that really just gave, I think, a lot of people a lot of time to just figure out what they wanted to do and how they wanted to move. And for me, I was like, oh, there's this program and it could be a way for me to reconnect with people. Because at that point, I felt like I had met a lot of producers, a lot of showrunners, a lot of the people who hire you as a writer. Yeah. So I did not feel isolated in terms of like, oh, can I work? Like, can I get work?
Yes.
Do I know the right people for that? In terms of like my peers who might not be, executives or just top executives. I felt like that too. I had a good community. So it was more about reintroducing myself and doing so with something that had prestige attached to it. Right. And perhaps also that could just connect me in ways that I could not do on my own, Yeah. In the way that you would think, like, if you have an agent or a manager, like, they're going to give you access to certain people and opportunities and spaces that you might not be able to access on your own. So that was kind of my mindset. It was like, okay, we can kill 3 birds with 1 stone.
Yes.
And just also meet new people. Because one of my favorite things, if I'm going to do a program, is actually to not know anyone.
Oh.
Because I've done a few where it's like, oh, it's just like, it's us again.
Yes. And also there's something, it's true about that safety net that can be comforting, but that can also shield you in a way that might not push you in the same way as coming in completely fresh. Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't know anyone. We knew people in common. That's just always going to happen. We had people in common, but yeah, we didn't know each other. Wow. And so thinking about that, on your first day, you arrive. Yeah. What was going through your head?
So we had, the first session was like improv.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I've done improv as an actor. So that part was more like, oh my God, it's new people. Like, how are we going to gel? Yeah. And also I think we were going to have a tour of the premises because it's a big ass campus.
That's right.
Yeah. Have you been there?
No, I've never been.
Oh my God.
That's why I'm like, paint the picture for us.
Okay, so next time I go, you'll come with me.
Yes. Probably
going to have like the homecoming that used to be a barbecue that is now like, I think they're still conceptualizing it.
I mean, hopefully there's food.
Budget cuts. But I'll take you one day. But it's beautiful. It's like a big park with like cottages and houses in there. And then I don't really know how to explain it. But there's just like space for people to chill, but also spaces for sessions, essentially. There's a mini, like, theater, like, cinema.
Okay.
Yeah. And then a big-ass space, which we'll talk about because it's the space where I filmed, which I think it's just, like, the bigger sessions that take place in there and also receptions. And yeah, and you always see, like, people walking their dogs because it's a big-ass park and people are allowed to go through it. And I think there's a trail. Anyway, it's beautiful. It really is. And I was just discovering everything. And I think at that point, just being detached, like in the healthiest way, right? Like excited, but still not having crazy expectations of anything. Right? I don't think I was able to do that as much in previous programs, but for this one, yeah.
So when you say detachment in this context, like, how do you approach that, or how do you kind of keep yourself grounded when you're like, this is a new space, they're all new people, I'm wondering how we're going to gel as a collective, but also I'm here for myself and my own trajectory. Like, how do you maintain that kind of equilibrium amidst all of that?
I feel like it's just trusting myself. I'm like, creatively, I'm not here to prove anything. I'm just here to, like, absorb and have fun. And I just trust that people are also there to do the same. There's a lot of people who have gone through the CFC, like, over the past few decades. And then even recently in the past few years, like, people that I personally know. And so I think it's just, like, the intersection of, like, where I'm at as a creative and also where I'm at spiritually speaking, right? Like, I don't feel like I need to question things. I don't feel like I would say I feel very empowered, right?
I love that.
And so it's me dictating, like, what this is going to be for me. It's not like, oh, this is just me, like even when I say absorbing, it's like I just willingly am absorbing and engaging with the space, with the people, with the staff, and my peers. But it's not like, oh, I just have to act a certain way and just be proper and just, like, I trust that I'm a kind person. I'm a polite person. I'm, like, talented. I just get to show up.
Yes.
And see what they got to say. That's it.
Oh, I'm like, let me write that down.
Yeah.
But also, truly, I think...
The encyclopedia of Helena.
No, honestly, I think it's so important. I think it's important to hear a Black woman unapologetically saying, like, I'm not here to come and, say, okay, let me understand how I need to work within these dynamics to ensure that I'm doing the right thing. Like, I trust that I know where I need to be and that the space, the people, the environment will respond in kind. Like, I think that's super powerful. And I also think I see that continuum of you saying, like, I'm here to have fun, and that literally creating the entire kind of forward motion of how you're able to experience this, which we'll get more into. But I just really love that you showed up and you said, let's see.
Yeah, like, shout out to the CFC for, like, learning, I think, because a lot of people of color, Black, Indigenous, and just brown people have had very different experiences in the past.
Right.
And I think that, it's also a testament to them growing and implementing things to make it more inclusive and welcoming and all of that. But yes, absolutely. It's that. It's like, I could have applied years ago.
Yeah.
If we were even to, like, I mean, of course your trajectory, like, professionally does matter, and are you a fit for, what they're looking for when you have the interview. Absolutely. But, like, the script is old.
Yeah.
It's not new. And I was just actually shocked, so shocked. I completely forgot that it was that old and that they had not read my most recent work, which was, like, a whole, like, thing at the beginning. Like, I was just, I had to work through, like, just that, like, being seen in a way where I'm like, wait, so you're, like, your understanding of me as a writer, not for the staff, because I think they know more, but, like, even in terms of, like, the writers that were with me,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, we only read like one sample of each other's like before the first few sessions. And I think I felt like I wasn't as like confident about that because I'm like, that's not who I am anymore. What the, huh? But I'm like, hey, like it got me in here, so people probably will, like it, resonate
Mm-hmm.
with it, whatever. But it's that exercise of just like I think I'm good at just like regulating myself in those
Mm-hmm.
moments, but there is like this weirdness about being perceived, and you think it's like present you, but it's like, oh, it's present you and then old you creatively. I think creatives will always have this thing where it's like, I have changed, I have evolved. I do not want you to see that work. But then people resonate and just, perceive it differently.
100%.
Right?
Yes.
But you're right. It's just like, it's just about play and then, having fun and managing to just like understanding, like you need to understand that you belong, like that you I had no part of me that was like, do I deserve to be here? I'm like, yeah. So I don't know if old versions of me would have felt that way, but that's where I was at.
Yes. And I just love that you kind of are like, you know what? We're getting that question out of the way so I could really explore. Because, it's so easy as a creative to get stuck in the, well, should I really have? Or like if they're seeing this, that you don't even get to have that expansiveness of saying like, okay, like what has already been done and what has already been decided, I'm here. Let me just step away from like the mechanics of, is it really, is it that? I say someone who has done that many times. So that's so important and so exciting. So to that point, so the script that you're referring to, is this the script that became Emergency Arm Candy that we all got to see?
I'm being such a kid. It was already called Emergency Arm Candy.
Okay.
And it is. It's the, like, so when I applied, because again, I had a slate, meaning that I had different projects that I was working on and that I could pitch and that I could keep working on. There was one feature and a few series that I'm really excited about. And I wasn't sure which one I would want to work on. And my understanding was that we would figure it out.
Right, yeah.
Right? But I know, like, I knew that in my interview, they had said, like, we would really want you to work on that.
A little nudge,
So I made, like, a mental note, and I was like, what does that mean, though? And then I just, again, like, I absorbed that and said, okay, I've rarely had the opportunity to work on like a feature, like in terms of as a format. My trajectory has been a lot more TV oriented. And I was like, I get to work on that and a bunch of other things, but to choose that as my final project over the course of 6 months. So I chose it. I feel like I'm forgetting part of your question, but it is that feature.
Wow.
My first feature.
And also the fact that you distilled that into 5 minutes of what we got to see.
Insane.
So, logistic, because for me, I'm always so curious about, I mean, if you've ever applied to anything or done anything, you always have to pick a selection of a work that you're going to showcase, work on, highlight. So knowing that this is a feature-length project, how did you land on this specific stretch, and how much did you agonize over, is this it, or was it clear? I'm trying
to look back, like think of that time, because it's just, things go so fast when you're at the CFC, and you have assignments, you have sessions, you have like a lot of things that happen as you are reworking and picking the scene. So I think the beginning of the process was like, we had a mentor, her name is Erin Burke, who was kind of supervising that part. And prior to even picking that scene, we had another exercise where we had to write a scene or take it from like one of our projects. And the exercise was to work with 2 directors, one that would have a conversation with us in terms of like what that piece was about. And then we had another director that we wouldn't like talk to.
Ooh.
And so that kind of, I feel, taught us how to like structure a scene that was going to be like 5 minutes. And also, yeah, just like the types of choices that you would make, the timeline, because the turnaround was insane for that too. and just all around, like it prepped us for that experience of, I have a feature film to pitch, visually speaking.
Yes.
It has to translate like who I am as a writer right now. It has to translate like what the story is about. Mine is an ensemble cast, so it's really hard when you have parameters such as like no more than 3 characters. And it's like across the board, it just needs to support what the vision is. Because obviously, like, the pro is like, oh, people will have a visual thing, like, not just my script, not just, like, my deck or whatever. Whatever materials you would send, like, a producer, they will also have this piece, right? And so the thing with that is you don't want it to, like, do the opposite.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Like, create something that's so static that they look at this as the entirety of it.
And also that they don't, like, get it. Or, because, I mean, I shouldn't say it that way, because it's not about them getting it. It's just, like, for it to not even represent the whole.
Right. Yeah.
And to feel like, oh my God, I did all that work and it doesn't work. Like, it hurts the full project, essentially.
Yeah. That's a lot of pressure in that sense, to feel like, this is, I mean, I feel like so often in our lives we're asked to sum something up. Like, even you look at a resume, a CV, it's like, I'm supposed to boil down everything
that I've done.
A few clips, directed this, managed this, so I can completely understand. It's like, I'm so glad to have something that can encapsulate or augment, but also the flip side of this is that you might look at this and not expand your mind beyond that at all. Yeah. So I feel like that's a fine balance, but do you ultimately made peace with it?
Yeah, so we went through, so for me it was, even though it was minor changes, the number of drafts for that short film / proof of concept was 7 drafts. Wow. Some of them were literally like, I changed the name of a character. So it's not always like a crazy thing, but I feel like there were at least 4 or 5 drafts of like optimizing everything. Yeah. Because you want to make sure that basically every word counts, right? Yes. You cannot have, you can't have lines that are not useful. We still ended up in the editing room, which is like the 3rd stage of writing. Yeah. Because you write your script, you write on set. Not literally, but it's a form of writing because you're telling the story in a second way, right? It is on the page and then it is interpreted on set and then you rewrite it again in the editing room. And so we were guided through it. We had feedback. Some of them were like purely, in terms of writing. And then at some point it got into like, hey, this is how it's going to translate. Right? And okay, we need to, I don't know, you'll see, there's a doorbell moment. You need to have the doorbell. Like just little things to like guide the audience to. And so, or whoever was going to be reading the script, right? So, it wasn't like a solo thing where it's like, just go and do your thing. We were very much like supported.
That's important.
So I'm happy with it. It's very much the conclusion. I'm really happy with it. I'm so excited because I've said that before, but it's taken me a long time to feel like I had work as me today that represents me, because I spent like a good chunk of time like writing, and that means you do not see my writing. Like I'm not produced, like it's not produced work yet, right? So there was like just a gap that starting to to deepen between who I was and what I had done and what was in my head and like the vision that I had for my project. So that felt very fulfilling, to just be able to co-create a piece that I'm so proud and so excited to share with people, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we're so proud of you.
Thank you.
So exciting.
Thanks.
So yes, getting more into the mechanics of this. Shooting, selecting actors. Like, I feel like the thing about me is I love getting into the weeds of everything. So
Let's
I'm trying
get
to pull
into the
back,
nitty-gritty.
but I'm also like, I want it all.
Yes.
Okay.
We can do it. We can do that.
Let's start. So you have the scene.
Yeah.
You're like, this is the scene. The scene that I want to represent the project. So then next up comes location. Is it the people? What was your first instinct, or what was the structure that you knew needed to come next?
So I feel like there's two stages that happened at the same time, and it was like the conversation about the director and the conversation about the location. Me, as I was like writing my thing, so I think this is our way back in.
Yes.
Thank you, Spirit. In terms of the location, I had like two ideas. I was like, either we use that location that is on campus, that very much like lends itself to being a museum or a gallery, an art gallery, or we like, I was like, can we just, we're at the CFC, can I get the AGO?
Yeah.
Which is difficult. So in terms of the logistics, and I don't know if there's sometimes like budget reasons too, it's hard to get like such a location. But I was like, that piece is very much like Crazy Rich Asians meets The Photograph by Stella Meggie.
Yes.
And so those being my influences, there's a lot of like, there's a luxury into it, right? There's a lot of details. And so this is also why I chose the scene. I was like, what is a scene that represents like the story, the core of the story, but also doesn't make you feel like it's just like those two characters, like it's an ensemble, and what can convey the world that they're in. And so for me, I was like, yeah, we can absolutely do things with the hair, the makeup, the wardrobe, all of that, absolutely, and I'm obsessed with that. But the location itself has to be one that looks very elevated, so that on a budget we get to show that. And I hope that it came through. But that was part of like what part of this full feature would, send that message.
Yes, and I think even from the opening shot and the way that it's kind of set up and framed, and you just see this elegant woman, and I was like, oh, I could immediately feel myself transported. I said, are we in LA? Like, it felt coastal. I said, we could be in South Africa. We could be somewhere tropical and opulent. Yes,
opulent is the word. Yes. Absolutely. Magdas, who is the main actress, is just a goddess. I was just like obsessed with just like everything that just came together to like just what she brought to the character, but also like just the accessories, the everything was so like intentional. And I'm just very grateful because I had the best team. I'm grateful that I had such a clear vision, was able to communicate it, and had such like skilled, talented people who took what I said and ran with it. I very much had like mood boards and all of that. And I feel like it's just like all the versions of me that like co-created with, also external people, obviously, but it's like they all came together because it's like the version of me that was like a teenager that was always doing makeup. I was always doing hair and makeup for my friends.
Yeah.
I was always obsessed with fashion and just like dressing.
Oh, we see that.
So I just feel like all these parts of me came together, and I got to be specific about everything. You know what I mean? Like when I say mood board, it's not just like, oh, this would be cute. It's like I had like color schemes that were going on. I was just like, okay, this is how I imagine the male character. This is how I imagine the female character, and like just the art gallerist, like the owner.
Yes.
I went in terms of like, here's the makeup, here's the, like how I imagine the hair, but also giving options in terms of like, is that doable, or you know, and also listening in terms of, oh, are we gonna have time to do that, or do we, you know? And that was very much like a collaboration in terms of making decisions. And Yoba was our wardrobe stylist extraordinaire, and she found like such an amazing like gown, Nigerian gown for the art collector slash gallerist. I noticed
that gown immediately.
I still have it.
Ooh.
Yeah. We finesse as we should.
Yes.
But yeah, it's been like, I'm just so grateful, because even I would say like with Vanessa Magic, who directed the piece, we were like just so aligned with everything. It's just like little things that end up being a big deal. And a tiny detail, like at some point she did like a first draft of a treatment. Even the designer that she picked was like part of like a big part of my mood board.
Oh, wow.
And she hadn't seen it. So it was like the same design. I was like, we understand like who those characters are in a similar way. And that's massive, because like the big thing with films and with TV shows is like, are we making the same film? Are we making the same TV show? Right? Because what you read, what you see, like can evoke very different things for different people. So yeah, the really cool thing about this is we navigated it as like showrunners. I cannot fully tell you if each writer, because it was 5 of us, if each writer approached things the exact same way, but we were encouraged to very much like take charge and lead creatively. And that was fun. Yeah. It was really fun.
And you could really see, like, that you were locked in.
Yeah.
And, of course, I love your mention of color, because color is a character, I feel, very much in the piece. It's so...
I love that you say that.
Yeah. It's so intentional. Even the interplay of the patterns and the colors between the not couple. That is.
The not couple. I love that. Yeah.
Yes, to the gallerist, and then also just tonally. Yeah. Do you think that when you were thinking about, because like you said, you had a very detailed mood board, kind of like what was your thesis, or how do you approach that when you're thinking about color in this piece? Like, is there something where you started, or did it kind of evolve over time?
I think I always had like a vision in terms of how she dresses, and because she's the main character, although you have like those two, you know, the not couple are the main characters, but she is the lead.
Yes,
the protagonist, and so having an idea of like how she would dress as like this girl who's like rich and also like has a sense of taste and all of that. She's a museum curator herself. I started from there, then went into colors that I liked. And because I did a mood board for production design too, I told them from the beginning that I would want them to work together so that, you know, outfits would not get lost in the color scheme of like the gallery and all of that. And yeah, it was very easy, because I think all of them were really good at what they do.
Yes.
So just, I think having the intention was enough, and then they just delivered in a massive way. It was a lot of work though. I don't want to say like, oh, it was just a walk in the park. Like, it was a lot of work to create a fake gallery.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Because you still want it to be evocative in the way that being in a gallery space, and I think as a viewer you got the intention, and to that point the fact that, because everyone being good at their craft is important, but the interplay in some ways is even more important. Because, like, I mean, if you think about music, if everyone's trying to solo, sometimes you need people to be like, okay, this is your time to solo, and I'll support you, and vice versa. So I'm glad that came together, and you could really see that nobody was competing. It was harmonious and delivered what it needed to deliver. So we got the visual, we got the evocative space. Now I want to get to the chemistry and the actors, because for me, everything about film, everything about just like creative output is always about what is said. Yeah. But so much is about what is not said. Little looks, just the energy that's created as people move through spaces, as people are experiencing their things. Because as you said, your lead, it's a lot of confliction. There's a goal that she wants to achieve, but also at one point she says, I think, the not partner says, like, oh, so you're not creating art anymore. And she's like, you know what? Sometimes you want to shift to a space of more stability, but that doesn't mean I'm a sellout. But there's all of this confliction.
I love how much you got from it. Yes. It's touching for me to just be like, oh, I'm creating, but I'm also like really getting to see people experiencing it. So yeah, it's very special to me. Yes. But their chemistry, So going back to the first assignment that allowed us to, figure things out for that main piece, we were working with a casting director. And so in terms of just describing what we were looking for in terms of vibe, in terms of like just physically, right?
Like a dating profile, but
like a dating profile, before a short film. Yes. I got the first time around, I feel like it was just demo reels, which means that they were not actually auditioning with a scene of mine, or just so that was a bit tough, but it was like two best friends, and everybody was just like obsessed with how they clicked. So I was just like, oh, I feel like I'm discovering something that I'm good at. So I might actually like do that at some point.
Casting?
Yeah.
Oh.
I was just like,
I love this discovery.
Yeah, because then with the emergency armor candy, I was worried because I knew we would not get the chemistry, which is when you just have the actors come together and you test how they, click or all of that. And it being exes romantically like challenged, entangled, I was just like, they have to mesh. And so again, that's why I say like different parts of me coming together, because I think that a lot of it was also just me being an actor and being able to just find ease and like some peace in thinking, okay, if they don't actually have like chemistry, there's ways to play with resistance, right?
I love that.
And so I was like, worst case scenario, well, I have an amazing director, but I also come in and just provide that as like guidance, I guess, just direction. But yeah, I picked them. We had two for each character, like a top two, and they just ended up being amazing. Oh, amazing. Like the chemistry is insane. It was, I think, way more like crazy to watch in person than it was on screen. Oh, like it translates and it's there, and it's like, I'm so happy and amazing, but just being there in person, it's almost like, what's going on? Should I should I leave? Am I interrupting something? No, they were so good. I'm so glad that they got got along. I think we got like a 4-hour session for like rehearsals. And so we used that to just really practice and for them to get acquainted with each other. We really didn't want them to just meet on the day of. Like, that was just like, no. What else did we do? Like, yeah, I sent them the backstory. Like, I just wrote, because I couldn't send them the script. It's really long, and it's also not the point. But I sent them, like, summaries of what happened between them, who they are, what, because through a scene, there's a lot that you don't know about your character.
Yes.
You can't really figure out. And so, yes, you can fill out the blanks, but I was like, let me help them. And then they can take, or, you know, what they want and leave the rest. But the process was just like, for me, thinking like, what are you giving me as you're auditioning that I don't have to ask for? You know? And prior, like at that point, I didn't have Vanessa was not attached just yet. She hadn't, we hadn't had the conversation. I think it was just like right after this. Like, again, a lot of moving parts. But by the time that I had made my like top 2, she actually was super helpful in figuring out something that is, again, about the bigger piece that I was struggling with, because the people that I was talking to, I think also the fact that they were white was impacting their response to things. And so they're extremely like skilled and talented and supportive, but I think that sometimes that's where like your lived experience and just like your perspective just
there's no substitute.
Yeah. And so I was like, hey, I have an ensemble cast that is, and this is going to be probably super interesting for people who are into films, into like TV, all of that. The nuances and the things that you have to play with, like, and that's kind of like a business decision that I made, right? So I have an ensemble cast, and that ensemble cast is has a Black family, but it is not a Black film per se, meaning like the entire cast is not Black. And so how do I infuse that into the piece? And because I was also making revisions to my feature script, there's certain things that I could not communicate early enough. It's like I made discoveries about my story later on, and it's like, but the casting has happened. And so, I had to just think on the spot. It's very survival mode, like, what do I do now? Because I only have, like, those 4 actors, and they're all amazing, but how do I also just infuse that new thing that is not really new, but, like, that I'm realizing, like, oh, my God, I didn't factor it in.
Yeah.
And so I made the choice of, like, between the 2 actors, the one that was, like, that was Giovanni that we ended up picking, who, again, gave things that I did not ask for, because I actually got his tape. He did not even audition live. He didn't know.
Oh, wow.
So I felt like that is a testament to, you know, how much of a fit you are, because the other person, I had to guide him to give me certain things, right? And I feel like I had to push him more. And he was also great, very charismatic, but I feel like if I was going to have 3 Black characters, then it gives you, as again in the pitch meeting, it's a different type of film. Yeah. Like, it's even on a marketing level, in terms of the audience, like all those things, like we both like love Black movies, but like there's a difference between like a cast that is, let's say, even Black led and like, let's say BIPOC supported versus like a Black film.
Absolutely.
Right? And unfortunately, we do have to think about that in terms of like, what kind of film am I pitching? Right? If I have, 3 Black actors, it's very difficult for me to then tell like an executive, oh, it's those 3 characters. Like, they're going to struggle, and I hate that, but they're going to, unless they're Black, they're going to struggle to like fully grasp the fact that, oh, it's other things. So it's like subconscious, like intuitively, how do I just like slide one more nuance in there? And so Giovanni being like like, let's say light skin and also like somewhat ambiguous in terms of like his ethnicity, I was like, that can help the bigger like vision of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, we had 2 Black women, and so I feel like we did it. Did you get that from it?
Yeah.
Yeah? Did you feel like it was like ethnically diverse?
I did think about, because even that, like, even within Black diasporas, there's still different
for
identities.
sure, absolutely.
So I did feel like, yes, there is layers in terms of the identities that people inhabit, and also, yes, like, we don't know everyone's stories, we don't know relationally like what is happening, but this is such a good introduction to say, what more do I need to know? What is going forward? What was happening beforehand that really placed us in that moment so actively? So, yeah, I think you really successfully did that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. No, it's a lot of, like, decisions that you have to make. And I think that's the moment where I was like, oh, yeah, Vanessa's really, really the right person. Because I was immediately able to just say that, and also to not be filtered, because it can sound weird to be like, ethnically, what are we doing here? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. It could very much like pass as like colorist, or just like all these different things that really matter to me in terms of just representation. It could feel like you're what's the word for that? Just like try to like commercially like appeal to people, or just like be palatable, and that's not what it is. It's just like nuances, like in the same way that you have the art collector who is a Nigerian woman, and Lola's character is like African American and Afro-Brazilian, right? So those are like, there's cultural differences in that too. And I really wanted that to show. Yeah,
I think you really did that. And
we did it.
Nuance is really the name of the game. Like, there's just so many things to consider, and just how much, like, even I'm still thinking about, you said about, like, you're essentially writing in each stage. Like, I think that's so important to think of all of the things that come together for a scene. And that also makes me think tangibly too, speaking of, because when we see that melanated skin on camera, we love to see it.
Oh my god, hair and makeup.
Yes, but also the use of light.
Lighting.
The opening scene, of course, super evocative in terms of I'm feeling a tropical light set. And of course, even the way the gallery is lit as they enter the space to meet with the gallerist, but also that closing scene. And also, your lead, the eye acting. I know people say Kerry Washington acts with her teeth sometimes. But, the eye acting in that scene, I was like, woo! Yeah. Not a word needs to be said here. The eyes were just,
They were so good.
Yes.
They were so good with directions. Like, just, there was no ego in terms of, when Vanessa had something to say, when I had something to say. Like, it was just a dialogue ongoingly, like every take, just really paying attention to all of that. But in terms of what you were talking about, the lighting, I feel like Vanessa and Jack, who was our DP, did a phenomenal job. They had worked together before, even in picking Jack, because we had a top two of like DPs, which is the cinematographer, for people who are not familiar. It came down to them having worked together and efficiency, because we shot in a day, which is absolutely crazy. Wow. I say a day, that's not a full day, okay?
Wow.
That's we probably did a little over 6 hours.
So not even a work day.
No, because you have it's a full day, but then you have makeup, and then you have to, like, the set was dressed the day prior, or just over the course of several days. Like, just even, I think they had to drop off like certain things, but just putting it together was like a crazy thing. I was not involved.
Yeah.
So
I think you had enough to focus on.
To deal with. But in terms of just the lighting and what I visually like tend to resonate with. So I'm someone who I love warm colors, but, and again, I learned that, I don't know, probably around 2017 is when I realized like how important colors were to me, or just like I pick up on it in ways that certain people do not care about certain details, right? So it does not make them a bad director, a bad anything. It's just like we all gravitate towards different things aesthetically speaking. And so I realized like I love it's like cold warm. I don't know if it makes sense, but it's like I love an undertone that is like kind of purple, but like that there's still transmits like warmth, right? I feel like a lot of scenes in Insecure have that too.
Oh, and we love,
right? So you have your own skin tone, like how they're dressed, but then you have like the pink and the blue and the all of that, right? So I love that and was able to talk about it. I think even Vanessa and Jack, as individuals, like also like love that kind of stuff. And we were able to make that happen. And yeah, so in the scene, I actually don't remember which take we picked, but there was like the real sun. We knew we would be like challenged in terms of the light because it was in November. Yeah. So we were like, this is gonna happen around 4. We're gonna lose. Like the sun is gonna.
The sun is on its own.
The sun is gonna disappear. And so we had like we recreated the sun. And the sunset.
I don't know if you can't remember. I sure, as a viewer, could not tell.
Oh no, you can't tell. You cannot.
All.
And I was afraid. Like I remember when it happened, where I was like, "Oh my god, is it actually gonna look like that?" Because
of course.
It's like this very magical thing where you have them like getting closer together, and then the sun is like in between them. The craziest thing is I never, like Vanessa in her first treatment had there's an image that she had there where this was going to happen. This shot, without making it corny, was going to happen. Now the sun playing into it, I don't know that it was really like that. Like it was more of a shadow thing, Now, for me, I had a completely different show where I remember like a kiss between two characters and the sun was just kind of beaming, or just like, it's like ray of lights were just hitting in between. And they were in a car in that series. That was like very similar. I never told people about this. And the fact that it happened for me, it's just like very like energetically, spiritually speaking. I'm just like... That's one of my favorite scenes from a series too. Like it's just the fact that it just happened to me was crazy.
Yes. Wow. I love that it's like
we're aligned and we don't.
This whole project, that just seems to be the theme, that like all of the things, all of the influences, all the parts of you, and then the team just being able to fully support this in this vision to create such a visually beautiful work, and also just like emotionally resonant. And also me as someone who's always like, ooh, I love that you leave the project thinking like, I need to go. This is like you're waiting for a voice note for your friend where you're like, okay, take me back to the start.
Yeah.
How did you meet? What's going on? What's next? Like, I just love that. To your point, like it really is such an important juxtaposition. Not a juxtaposition, but like it really places you into the story in the place where you are ready to be fully immersed. So I think that's just such a testament to what you were able to carry out, and all of the intention and all the thought really like came through. Just so amazing. And so after that 6-hour day plus because
we cheated a little bit. Because
Oh,
yes, it's a union thing. Everybody was like, no, we want you to get everything that you need. So when the time like got closer, I feel like we might have one shot that we still needed to do. And at that point I think I was out of the 5 directors like probably the 4th. And so I knew that one of the other writers had like a lot of challenges with sound, with just the amount of scenes that, or takes that they were able to do with each shot. And I was like, ugh. And that's also like something I'm incredibly grateful for. It's just people being like, nah, we're getting this, like we're staying. Yes. And I was like, oh my God, let's see if Lee, our producer, is going to be like okay with that. Because she could have said like, nope, shut it down. And it's just like, okay. And so we stayed like maybe an extra like 30 minutes or something, and we got everything. And I felt like I had all the takes that I needed. You know what I mean? Like I didn't feel leaving like, oh, I wish we had done it this way and that way. So it's very much like everybody was able to support, but everybody was also able to elevate, right? Because I have my vision, people have their vision, and it just all aligned, and we were able to just have that piece that we're all, I think, proud of. Then it was insane seeing people just even watching it, just like
on the big screen,
on the big ass screen at TIFF,
a packed theater,
the live box. Yeah, it was packed. It was full.
It was sold out, like full. If there was standing room, they would have had standing room. Like it was. So then having this big moment at TIFF, full theater, and so
full of loved ones.
And I think, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but I can imagine all of the adrenaline of trying to get it done, trying to get it packaged, and then there's a break.
You mean the break as in like the holidays?
Yeah.
So from, I would say mid-October until December, it was nonstop.
Yeah.
So I went from prep to production to post-production to the screening.
Yes. So approaching the screening, did you have any gas left in the tank, or like?
I think it's adrenaline, like you said. Like, it's just, there's a point where you just go straight to the point. Like, you have so many decisions to make, like, from the poster, which was a whole thing. Did I show you the poster?
No, I don't know if I've seen the poster, but I see the key art that is on.
Oh, yeah. So that's what.
The beautiful lights.
Yeah, that's what I had to pick, because I was just like, I'm not doing. Bless their hearts. As the Southern people would say in the U.S. Oh. It's
Say less.
That's the thing. It's like when you have so many moving parts, and not only do you have a vision, and for me, like, it was just, they were not really executing that, I would say. Then on top of it, I'm then filming the thing, and it's gorgeous. I cannot do anything but try to honor that.
You have to do it justice.
Like, it's impossible for me to just be like, oh, I'm just going to let go of that. Like, no, I'm particular.
Yeah, and you've committed so much at this point that you have a responsibility to see it through.
Yeah. But, yeah, I think your question was, like, after that, the break. It was just, like, all that time that I was describing in the beginning of just, like, slowing down. Mm-hmm. But it's emotionally, like, a lot, because it's been, like, a full semester, like, it's kind of like a marathon, and you're like delirious by the end. It's like, wait, it's done. And so for me, it wasn't like it wasn't so much like the, oh my God, I'm not going to be around these people, or like the way you would be at the end of camp. And it's like, it wasn't that, because I feel like I'm going to be around them. Like, I'm going to see them. We're going to talk, all of that. It was more so like just the progressive, like, rush of adrenaline that just kept increasing, because you're very tired. You're spending like full days like editing and doing all that stuff, and then it's like, oh, and now we're gonna have this huge crowd like see it. We're also gonna take in each other's work, because we had not seen anybody's work, and it was on purpose. Like, I really wanted to discover it like that, you know. There's your family, there's your friends. For me, like, it was my very, very first time having I guess my family involved in a milestone like that, because a lot of my work, they've experienced, you know, long distance. Yeah. And yeah, my mom came. She flew in to surprise me, and it was like, I felt like a kid, because I was like, oh my God, like, I've never experienced that. Yes. You know, like, with my friends, yes. Not my oldest friends, but like my friends that I made along the way, like, I would say as an adult, and also, just throughout like that part of my creative career. I've been able to share and have moments and felt supported, but just having a member of my family watch my stuff, that was a big deal, because I'm like, big. I've never been able to share a moment like that. Yeah. So again, like emotionally, it's very charged, and then it's the end. And then you also don't really know what's coming. Like some people might have had like a contract or something, but it's a lot.
It is.
I forgot to tell them, but I feel like the showcase should be separate from the graduation, the end of the whole thing, because it's a lot.
Pace.
People kept asking me like, how do you feel now? I'm like, I don't know. I'm not gonna know for like a hot minute. I cannot comprehend what just happened.
Yeah, like you're just moving. You're moving like your body is just going through some motions. And I mean, I guess then now that some time has passed, kind of in that theme, how do you feel? Do you feel like you are able to sit with what an accomplishment that is?
I still don't know about that part. I just feel like we did something really, really cool that took a lot of heart, a lot of work. I'm super grateful. I don't know that I've fully like grasped certain parts of it just yet, but I'm able to just look at it and be like excited that that's happened, that I was able to experience that. So that's what I can say, and I am very proud of myself, very proud of everybody. Again, it was a big intention and manifestation for me to be able to have that by the end of the program. And so, yeah, I can walk like very confidently when it comes to that. I'm excited to see what comes, like just even, attaching people, rewriting, like the revisions that are going to happen with the script. But it's like, I'm excited, I'm confident, I feel good. Like for me, it's a big deal to be excited to show things, because I think as creatives, like we can be like, I want to hang this. I'm not ready. It's not ready. And with this, I'm just like, yeah, it is what it is in the best way. Not like, who knows what it is. It's like, it is what it actually is and was meant to be. Fulfilled a big thing.
I love that, because we often think of it is what it is as a resignation, but I think a reframing of like, it is what it is, it exists.
Look at what it is.
I'm ready to keep that into the rest of this year. That's such an important way to say like you're really at peace and you're allowing it to have its life in the world. And it is so big to be a creative person who finally is not shying away, because you know how easy it is in those conversations. Everyone's like, so when's the next time? I'm like, I'm still tweaking is like, I'm dragging myself as well. Yeah. But like, I just love that this is not what that project evoked for you, and that we all got to share in it, and we all got to celebrate you, that your mom was present, and that that's really bringing you forward. So
cool.
Yes, here's to the next
I didn't even
season.
shout out my editor, Jake.
Well, shout out
it was
to Jake.
Awesome.
Thank you, Jake.
Yeah, it's just like I felt very supported, and like you can tell the CFC wants you to, leave feeling really happy. And it's also, like they're ambassadors, and that's very much also one thing that I always like remember, because it's something that everyone, I think, no matter your art form, your discipline, like you should, anytime you apply even for a job, anything, like you should remember that you're either going to be like an ambassador, or that you're also like interviewing them. You know what I mean? Like, how much of a fit are you for me? It's not just like, oh my God, please see me, please choose me, please. No, it's a mutual, like a reciprocal thing.
Yes.
And I felt supported, and I feel like I'm very proud of like the projects that came out. I look at them and I'm like, yeah, you got some elite talent that just came out.
For real.
It's a good representation of what, you want people to do in that industry.
100%. Like, you're in good company, and you're contributing to a very talented cohort of people that it's exciting. Like, there really is always that energy when you're in a space like that. kind of at this big screening where you're kind of bookmarking it to be like, I can't wait to have this anecdote to be like, well, I remember, it was a cold Thursday evening, and we just saw one scene at that time. Like, someone's gonna clip that for their podcast.
I love that.
It was just, we just saw a scene, and I just kept thinking, and then
here we go.
Yes, so
billboards.
I'm so excited, and I know the world's excited.
Yeah.
And so, on that note, congratulations.
Thank you for doing this with me.
Yeah,
because I really wanted to be like guided through, talking about it, and also like just for being supportive throughout the journey, just checking on me and like how things were going. Being a good friend and just, coming out to see it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you've gotten to see all the mini moments throughout, and you went to see like the culmination.
It's true. I felt like I too was on this journey. So
I too was at the CFC.
Like, put me in the car. I'll do something. I'll walk my dog over there. I don't even have a dog. But, yes.
No, I really appreciate that. And I think you were just perfect to do this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been such a joy. So thank you too.
Thank you. Thank you for watching or listening to today's episode of the Flowprints podcast. We hope you had the best time and cannot wait for you to join us again. You can find us online at theflowprints.com, at theflowprints on every social media platform, and the podcast airs monthly on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. See you soon.